Hello and welcome, everybody. I am Tofu Bandit, your host with the most. Today we will be beginning our first episode of our three-part series, Deck Theory, where we will be selecting different decks that are viable in the meta, going through their deck strategy, as well as deck building, and then also going through meta opponents and how to navigate those matchups. So today we will be covering everybody's favorite meta deck, Blackwargreymon. It is the big bad. But what many people, they do see that it is the best deck, but they don't necessarily know why. And just expect it to be able to put it together and it just win because it has better cards. But as with any deck that is extremely powerful, you do still need to navigate your matchups. It still has bad matchups, and if you play the deck wrong, you'll lose more than you win. So that's where we will start with the deck strategy. So the basic difference between Black War Greymon's new style of play versus the old War Greymon X style of play, which is more just huge body OTK slam into your opponent. This new strategy is based more on control by starving your resources from your opponents via Hades Force and BT8 Blackwargreymon, killing off small bodies, deleting tamers to prevent your opponent from getting memory, and then also being Hades Force allowing you to swing over stuff, and then in different inheritables that allow you to control the board. It is more grindy than a traditional OTK deck because you're kind of restricted on what you run in the stack, and there's some different tamers and stuff that you run in this one. You're not really swinging for 4 to 5 checks to blitz for game. This is more to control the board, grind out until you can get that lethal damage swing in, and you do that via board control. So again, like I said, you can use Hades Force to blow out your opponent's tamers, Digimon. You have unsuspend mechanics that trash security. You have unsuspend mechanics that delete Digimon. You have the ability to block and redirect attacks to force your opponent to delete their own Digimon. So this is a much more control-oriented deck that becomes extremely difficult to deal with when built correctly. Um, Next, we will be covering the deck strengths, how it executes on those deck strategies that we just talked about. It has multiple levels of protection, just like with the old Agumon and Wargreymon X deck. You have protection through your rookies and your champions. The new rookie and champion gives you protection via the X antibody option itself. You can get rid of that out of your sources to prevent a deletion or a bounce via an effect. You aren't protected from DP or security bouncing, but you are protected or D-Digivolve or DP reduction. But should you be bounced via Kakaitis Breath or deleted via your opposing Hades Force or some form of deletion, you can protect it just by trashing that. You also still have access to the Alteris mode from the previous formats, which allows you to trash 2 Digimon of the same level and protect yourself in the same way. The deck is insanely searchable. Because it is one of the most supported archetypes in the game, Agumon being, almost the equivalent of Pikachu for Digimon, it has a lot of support. It has a lot of same name Digimon, so you have a lot of options. Also, you have some of the most searchers in the game, being able to search, with 3 to 4. There's 4 different cards in the game at the rookie level that can search for pieces, being the BT4 Agumon that searches the top 3 for a named Greymon or Omnimon. Sorry. You have the BT8 Black Agumon that searches for the top 4, and you get to take a Greymon and a Dragonkin, which is insanely good. And then you have the X antibody equivalents of both of those. The red X antibody equivalent searching for a Greymon or Omnimon and the X antibody option. The black counterpart searching for a Greymon and X antibody. You have to pick one of those, but then you also get to take the new Tamer. So, some definite choices you have to make as far as what you want to run there. The deck has incredibly high DP values through its inheritables and tamers. It's not unheard of for the average swing to be 15k plus when you swing. So, like, you're really able to swing over multiple bodies, and with the inheritable of BT8 Metal Greymon being able to swing over unsuspended bodies, you're really able to control the board and also pretty much be free to swing. into security because you're going to be able to swing over most DP thresholds in security. It does also have access to multiple forms of removal, being Alteris mode, being able to delete 5Ks, the new Metal Greymon X being able to delete 6Ks. You also have access to Blackwargreymon, the BT8 version, which deletes Digimon up to 6 memory if it chooses to. You have the new Blackwargreymon X that when it unsuspends deletes a Digimon. You have access to Hades Force, which is just blanket board removal. The deck definitely has a multitude of ways to handle bodies and tamers on the Digimon field, which gives it a very niche point and is a reason why this deck is thriving so much, because it's one of the few decks that has consistent access to tamer removal, as well as such a vast level of board control, because most decks are limited to either the level or DP that they can delete, and it's usually single targets, whereas Blackwargreymon has access to multiple removal options in a turn, as well as Hades Force, which can just flat out delete your board. The key cards when building this deck is the new Blackwargreymon X, being able to digivolve off of a Blackwargreymon for 2. It has Reboot, allowing it to proc all of its other effects. It has the ability, once per turn, to redirect your opponent's Digimon with the highest DP into itself, so a pseudo block, as well as whenever it unsuspends, it deletes your opponent's Digimon. And thus allowing you to clear the board. It is a definite uh, pressure card. It does cost 5, so to hard digivolve, which is not necessarily something you want to see. Um, you don't want to pass over 5 memory, but with the access to X antibody in the deck, allowing you to just straight up, uh, you know, swing with your Digimon and Digivolve into this, and alleviating some of the cost by going into a Blackwargreymon previously, definitely allows you to um, mitigate those costs. And speaking of mitigate costs, Captain Mitigate himself, Cool Boy, allowing you to search literally half of your deck on play. You can add an X antibody option or a Digimon with X antibody and its traits, so you do have the chance to get double value out of that. And then whenever you would digivolve into a Digimon with the same level that has X antibody and its traits, you can suspend it to gain a memory and draw a card. Absolutely insane. He allows you, especially with a deck like this, where it's one of its biggest weaknesses is memory inefficiency. This allows you to go into some of your higher plays and to without passing turn, because a lot of the time what Blackwargreymon suffers from is digivolving into its next level, like from 3 to 4, 4 to 5, and then passing turn, thus allowing your opponent to remove your body before you actually get your stacks online. Another key part to that is going to be the new Greymon X. It does digivolve for 3 in raising without a regular Greymon back there, which can be extremely detrimental to a stack. But it's worth the risk. Digivolves for 0 over a Greymon, and then whenever this Digimon would digivolve into a Digimon with Greymon in its name, you reduce the cost by however many colors are in that Digimon's color scheme. So when you digivolve into your new Metal Greymons that are 2 color, black and red, it reduces the cost by 2. So instead of digivolving for 4, you digivolve for 2, thus allowing you to keep turn if you have a memory tamer on field. It also has that protection as an inheritable that I spoke about earlier, allowing you to send your X antibody to the bottom of your deck and protect yourself from a deletion or a bounce. Definitely makes your deck extremely sticky. And if you have multiple X antibodies in your hand, you can swing active. If you check a nasty card in security, trash it and just tuck another one underneath, which is insane. Next up, we do have the new Hades Force card. 7 cost to play, but if you have a Digimon with the X antibody option in its traits, then you can reduce the cost by 2, thus making it 5. And then you select a Digimon with Greymon in its name and delete Digimon or Tamers whose memory total adds up to the total cost of the Greymon that you selected. So if you select the new Blackwargreymon X, you pick 13 memory worth of bodies on the board and delete them. And then you have the additional effect of being able to swing with a Greymon. So in theory, you can, digivolve into this guy for 2 off of your Blackwargreymon. Select your, use Hades Force, select him, blow up all of your opponent's small bodies, then use the secondary effect to swing with that Blackwargreymon and either swing over a body or swing into security, thus allowing you to continue your plays, which is really, really good. And then it also has the added effect of insecurity, deleting one of your opponent's Digimon with the highest play cost, which is extremely necessary for one of your worst matchups, which is Grandis. If Grandis checks this, and you have a stack in raising that you're able to promote the next turn, you've pretty much guaranteed to win the match. It's not 100% guaranteed, but you're in a very, very solid spot. Another key card is good old promo Agumon, who never seems to go away. Just being able to give a 2,000 boost to your Greymon Digimon on your turn is incredible. Allowing your Blackwargreymon to swing 15k, 17k, 19k, just adding that 2k difference helps you in your mirror matches to swing over your opponent's Digimon. It helps you swing over just huge threats your opponent puts on the board, and also lets you safely swing over them without risk of, you know, being deleted in there, allowing you to reboot on the following turn, and activate your plays there. Another key card is Gaiomon. While not necessary to run it as a 3 or 4 of, as most of the other cards we've talked about so far, having a Digimon that can Digivolve over your Blackwargreymon for 2, that has Blitz, Security Attack +1, Reboot, and Keely, a D-Digivolve 1, which will really help you in matchups such as Jessmon, being able to D-Digivolve their stack further, giving you the chance to swing over it. Anything that basically your mirror matches, if your opponent didn't go into the Metal Greymon X, allowing you to swing over them. So definitely a key card that you would want to run as a 1 of, just because it allows you to get through so much. Next up we have is the X Antibody option. It is a key card because it gives you all of your X Antibody Digimon basically Blitz, having it attached, allowing you to swing with any one of your Digimon, and then being able to Digivolve into the next level or the same level for its memory cost. So you could swing with a Metal Greymon, activate the X Antibody effect, and then go straight into Blackwargreymon X if you so wanted to. It does have to Digivolve into an X Antibody Digimon, but that's okay. And that allows you to extend plays and go into plays that you otherwise wouldn't be able to continue your turn, because you can pressure your opponent's security but still go into your big body, and that can really put tempo in your favor, which is another reason why this deck is so powerful, because you can swing with that Metal Greymon at security, Digivolve into Blackwargreymon X. Yes, you might pass them 2 to 5 memory, depending on where your memory is when you do it. But now you have a 13k body that, when it unsuspends, deletes a threatening body on their board. If they only have one, their biggest stack is gone. If they have a small one that's being a pain, it's gone. And then it reboots, so then you're at no threat of being swung over without your opponent jumping through some hoops to gain access to swinging over unsuspended Digimon. Another key card is the replacement for Securitai, Yu Yakuga. He is a memory setter, which is invaluable in decks like these, and then he also has the ability of, whenever a Digimon with Greymon its name Digivolves, you can suspend it to give plus 2k until the end of your opponent's turn. So it does carry over through your opponent's turn, making your Blackwargreymon a 15k on its turn. But then also, if you Digivolve into a Digimon with the same name, that Digimon becomes unaffected by your opponent's options as well, thus allowing you to free check security, because you're swinging for 15 to 17k. You're unaffected by options. So that definitely creates just an insane stack, almost entirely interactable stack. There's a handful of ways to attempt to deal with it, but it's going to require multiple resource investments from your opponent. And again, because the way this deck progresses through its gameplay, it starves your opponent of those resources or forces them to use them early, and maintains pressure and board control that, like, by the time you send out a Blackwargreymon X with a Yu Yakuga effect, you've probably won the game, because you're checking one, unsuspending, deleting another, deleting a body, and your opponent then has to try and get over a 15k body that is unsuspended, potentially has blocker, but bare minimum can redirect an attack to itself, and is unaffected by options, so you can't really get rid of it. So you need a monster with an effect, and we'll talk about some of those later on, that in order to even think about dealing with a full stack Blackwargreymon. Optional cards that you can run in the deck is Congo. This Congo facilitates a protection from some of the problem cards that you'll deal with, being cards that just shove Blackwargreymon into security rather than trying to delete it, thus circumventing some of the protection. Yu Yu Kuga does the same thing, but this is a card that also prevents your opponent from swinging with 7 costs or less. So that protects you from a lot of smaller decks that may want to try to rush you down. Armor Rush, Blue Flare, Crossheart, things like that, just to prevent them from being able to move faster. It's also a solid card against Melga, being that most of their combos starts at 7, so they can't swing the first one to activate the Wind Digivolving, so they have to go into the Melga X to be able to start their combo, which forces them to burn 1 additional attack, thus slowing them down for a turn. The 2 cards you can choose from in the rookie lineup, as I discussed earlier, is the red Agumon X Antibody and the black Agumon X Antibody. This one hard playing for 3, this one hard playing for 4, thus making it, there's definitely some memory differences there. This one searches for your Greymon or Omnimon and an X Antibody, so it can find that option for you. And then it also can search your pieces. But it has no inheritable. This one, on the other hand, does the same thing, Digivolves 0 from a Agumon, but then its on play and when Digivolving is search the top of your deck and add a Greymon in name and or an X Antibody, and your Tamer. So this one has this search, but you have to pick between the Greymon and the X Antibody, but it does allow you to find your Tamer, and your Tamer, at least in this going forward format, especially in mirror matches, is invaluable. So this is definitely something you're going to have to weigh when deck building, is to include 4 of these, a 2-2 split, but you will have to put in some combination or of these guys, either 4 of this, 2-2 split, whatever you want to do. But one of these, one or both, will have to be included in a Blackwargreymon deck. The Alteris mode. Level 5 spots are tight in the Blackwargreymon deck. Running your Black Metal Greymon that de-digivolves, blows up a 3K, and then allows you to attack on Suspendeds, as well as the new Metal Greymon X. I've seen a lot of decks that run those as a 4 of, but this card is insane. When digivolving, if you have a Tamer, delete one of your opponent's Digimon 5,000 or less. That deletes a lot of level 4s and all level 3s. So, it clears threats off the board, aids in the board control, which this deck wants to do. It's treated as a Metal Greymon when it's on the board, so therefore you can go into your Metal Greymon X play off of this guy, and it digivolves from 0 from a Metal Greymon. So if you go, if you have your Greymon X in raising, you go Black Metal Greymon for 2 to de-digivolve, delete a 3K. Even if you don't get there, but you de-digivolve their level 5 into a level 4, cool, go 0 into this Metal Greymon Alteris mode, delete one of your opponent's Digimon, delete their 5K, because if they're a 4, you're probably killing it. And then you can go into your Metal Greymon X for 1, because it's still treated as a Metal Greymon, thus allowing you to add more level into the stack. And then it also has the inheritable of the BT9 Greymon X, of if this Digimon has Greymon or Omnimon in name, if an effect would delete it or return it to your hand or deck, you can trash 2 cards of the same level in this card's Digivolution sources to prevent it. So, again, this is just another layer of protection that requires very little investment. So it requires very little investment, but it also adds another level of protection to your Blackwargreymon stack, thus making it that much harder for your opponent to get rid of. And the more resources your opponent has to invest into killing one of your stacks, gives you more time to build up a secondary stack in raising, and allows the stack that your protection is involved in just that much more pressure. Because if your opponent has to invest 3 removal methods just to get something off the board, they probably aren't going to have any removal for your following, and they've committed so much memory to getting rid of this that they're not really threatening you. So it definitely keeps tempo in your favor. Now, these are the problem cards that you will see and your opponents will try to use to beat you as a Blackwargreymon player. Lonkia Adistacto. While you have a Pulsemon or a Digimon with Pulsemon as Digivolution cards in play, you can use this card without meeting its color requirements. That's probably never, I've never seen that part needed. But the main, if you have 3 or more security cards, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 12,000 DP for the turn. And then if you have 3 or fewer security cards, place one of your opponent's Digimon face down on top of their security stack. So this first part, the minus 12,000 DP, isn't as relevant because your Metal Greymon X prevents DP reduction. But being able to shove your Blackwargreymon into the security stack gets around all of your inheritable protection. So you would have to have a Yuya effect in play to be able to dodge this. And then Chaos Degrade does the exact same thing. Both have, this one activates its main effect. This one just places one of your opponent's Digimon face down at the top bottom of your opponent's security. And then the main is place one of your opponent's Digimon face down at the top or bottom of the security, then trash the top card. So, this one, is probably, this one's way more effective than this one because this one requires a security threshold to be effective, but this one is always effective, so this is definitely something you're going to have to manage. But it being a purple yellow definitely works in your favor considering how much board control Blackwargreymon has. Being able to keep your opponent's Mirays from being live, basically forcing them to play something, have their Digimon in raising, play something, and then play the Chaos Degrade, again forcing your opponent to give you more resources and burn more resources to get through. Chaos Degrade, while it can hurt, like if that's what you were guaranteed to win and you don't have in that, if your opponent didn't get rid of it at that turn, but then you also don't have something in raising, that can definitely be an issue. But if you have something in raising, even if it's a rookie, if your opponent Chaos Degrades and you don't dodge it, cool, your opponent had to have play a new Tamer, so they probably started at 0, so they probably gave you 8. If the Blackwargreymon matchup is going the way it's supposed to, and you're nuking their Tamers and controlling their board, keeping multicolored Digimon and stuff off the board, yeah, they're gonna give you 8, which allows you to promote and go full stack and kill them the next turn. So this can be a problem, but if you navigate it right and you plan around it, definitely something you can play through. Grandis this is kind of not really just the card, but the deck as a whole. You don't necessarily have a way out of this matchup. This is probably your worst matchup. They can suspend you, so thus getting rid of any blocker inheritables. They're swinging 16k minimum when they attack. So you would need multiple Yu Yakugas to be able to survive a swing. The Digimon will have piercing, or even if they don't, they can still swing over you and then unsuspend at the end of attack if they have Grand Kawagomon or X antibody in it. And then it unsuspends and then they can check their security. So this is a card that can clear your board, and they do it off of very little memory. So unlike these two guys, the Lonki and the Chaos, they don't have to pass you a lot of memory to kill your stack. And the only thing you can hope for when you play this deck, if they get the full Grandis stack, is either you've applied enough pressure to where you can win the next turn, and they hit a Hades Force and Security, which blows them up, or they brick. Unfortunately, that's a very difficult matchup to navigate. If you keep their Tamers off the board, it definitely increases your chances of winning, not allowing them to go, Mimi into an additional raising phase to swing for game or hybrid you for game. That can be definite way to navigate it. But if they go full Grandis, it's just kind of like it's an OTK deck. You kind of have to hope they either brick or they hit a body in security, or hit your Hades Force in security, which is another reason why I would recommend running 3 of it to increase your chances of one popping up in security. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. This has been the Deck Theory. Episode 2 will be deck building. We will have that one out shortly after this one goes live. So we will see you next time, boys and girls.